guys, and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you My Weird School, Mr. Macky is Wacky, Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. Chapter 5, George Washington's Face. We were having fun learning about our crazy pets, but guess who suddenly walked into the door? Nobody, because if you walked into a door, you would hurt your head. But guess who walked into the class? It was some funny-looking guy all dressed up in a fancy army uniform. He had a white wig on his head and a sword in his hand. "It's George Washington," said Miss Daisy, all excited. She stood up and gave him a salute. We all knew it wasn't George Washington. It was just Mrs. Rupee, our librarian. She's always pretending to be somebody else. One time she pretended to be Johnny Appleseed, and she walked around all day with a pot on her head. I still don't understand why you have to wear a pot on your head to plant apples. Mrs. Rupee is loopy. "You're not George Washington," we all shouted. "You're Mrs. Rupee, the librarian." "You must be mistaken," Mrs. Rupee said in a fake low voice. "I was the first president of the United States. I cannot tell a lie. I chopped down a cherry tree. I have wooden teeth, see?" Mrs. Rupee took out her teeth. It was disgusting. I was glad when she put those gross teeth back in her mouth. "I came to tell everyone that when you come to the library, you'll find lots of books about me and the other presidents too," said Mrs. Rupee. "They'll help you prepare for your President's Day oral report. I wish I could hang around and tell you more, but I must go to fight the British." She ran out of the door. "That was totally Mrs. Rupee," said Ryan. After Mrs. Rupee left, Miss Daisy asked, "Who can tell us something about the real George Washington?" "His face is on the dollar bill," said little Miss See how smart I am, Andrea. "That's right," said Miss Daisy. Andrea looked all proud of herself. "He should take that dollar bill off his face," I said. "No, what I mean, his face is on the dollar bill." I knew perfectly well what Andrea meant. I was just yanking her chain. "How could George Washington fight the British with that dollar bill on his face?" I asked. "Yeah," Michael said. "Why didn't he just carry the dollar bill in his wallet like a normal person?" "Enough chit-chat. It's time for reading," Miss Daisy told us. "Let's read a book by my favorite author, Dr. Seuss. She read us a story called Yertle the Turtle. It was pretty cool, but I still say George Washington was weird. Chapter 6. It's Hard to be the President. The next day, Mr. Macky popped his head in our class right after the morning announcements. "Are you all getting excited about President's Day?" he asked. "Yeah," said all the girls. "No," said all the boys. "I have a question for you," Mr. Macky said. "What color is the White House?" Everybody waved their hands around in the air. "Even the dumbest dumbbell in the world knows the White House is white. That's why they call it the White House, duh." But Mr. Macky didn't call on any of us. Instead, he called on Miss Daisy, who was waving her hand just like she was a kid. "The White House is blue, right?" said Miss Daisy. I slapped my head. She doesn't know anything. "The White House is white," we all shouted. "Oh," said Miss Daisy. "I thought it was a trick question." Miss Daisy is crazy. She is the dumbest teacher in the history of the world. "To what do we owe the pleasure of your company, Mr. Macky?" said Miss Daisy. "That's grown-up talk for it. What are you doing here?" "I thought I would tell the students a little bit more about the president," said Mr. Macky. "It might help them decide which president to choose for their oral reports." "Excellent idea," Miss Daisy said as Mr. Macky went running out of the room. "Where did he go?" asked Ryan. "Who knows?" I said. "He's weird." Mr. Macky came right back in, but this time he was walking on his knees, and he had his shoes over his knees, so it looked like he was really tidy. I'm James Madison, Mr. Mackey said. I am the 4th president and the shortest. I'm about 5 feet 4 inches tall, and I only weigh 100 pounds. What a shrimp, Ryan said. Mr. Mackey excused himself and ran out of the room again. Then he came back with a cigar in each hand, a cigar in his mouth, and 2 cigars sticking out of his ears. What are you now? Asked Andrea. I am Ulysses S. Grant, Mr. Mackey said, the 18th president. I smoke 20 cigars a day. That's disgusting, said Michael. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. He must have stuffed a bunch of pillows under his shirt, because when he came back in, he was really fat. Nobody can gain weight that fast. Who are you now? Asked Emily. I'm William Howard Taft, he said, the 27th president. I weighed more than 300 pounds. I had a special bathtub built for me in the White House. You should go on Weight Watchers, I said. My mom lost 20 pounds that way. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. When he came back this time, he was wearing a dress. Who are you now? Asked Ryan. I am Franklin D. Roosevelt, he said, the 32nd president. My mother made me wear a dress until I was 5 years old. Your mother was weird, I said. Mr. Mackey ran out of the room again. When he came back, he wasn't wearing any clothes at all. He just had a towel wrapped around him. Who are you now? Asked Michael. I'm John Quincy Adams, the 6th president. I like to go skinny dipping in the Potomac River near the White House. You're really weird, I said. Mr. Mackey kept running in and out of the room over and over again. Each time he came back, he was dressed up like a different person. Jefferson, Reagan, Kennedy, Jackson. It went on and on and on. We learned a lot of important stuff about the presidents, like which one grew the first tomatoes in America, Jefferson, and which one was a member of the Beatles, Harrison. Most of them were weird. Did you know that Andrew Johnson, the 17th president, never went to school? It's true. He didn't even learn to read until he was 17 years old. See? That just proves that any dumbhead can grow up to be president. Finally, Mr. Mackey stopped running in and out of the room. He was panting and gasping for breath. Being president is a very hard job, he said. Who is your favorite president, Mr. Mackey? Asked Andrea, who never misses a chance to brown-nose a grown-up. Said Mr. Mackey, rubbing his chin where his fake beard used to be. That's a hard one. I think my favorite is Millard Fillmore. He was the 13th president. Millard Fillmore? Can you believe that? The guy's name was really Millard Fillmore. He must have been a great man. Anyone who could become president, even though his name was Millard Fillmore, must have been a great man. I know that if my name was Millard, kids would make fun of me all day long. I'd have to move to Antarctica. You know what I like best about Millard Fillmore? Mr. Mackey asked us. His name. And then he started writing on the blackboard. Millard Fillmore, Fillard Millmore, Mormill Fillard, Lardville Mormill, Millville Morlard, Lardmore Fillmill. He went on and on like that until it was time for lunch. Mr. Mackey is wacky. So that's the end of this channel. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please click many likes and subscribe Reading Club. So I'll come back later with a new and improved channel. Bye everybody, see you later.